You are going to die without ever having lived. Not because life was too short, because you kept handing it away. To the meeting that didn't need you. To the argument you replayed for 3 days. To the plans you postponed until conditions were right. And conditions were never right. Seneca saw this 2,000 years ago, and it enraged him. He wrote that it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a great deal of it. But that line has become a bumper sticker, a thing people nod at and forget. This video is what that line actually means. Confronted, applied, brought to the specific hours of your specific life. Pay attention. Your time is already moving. Seneca wrote on the shortness of life around 49 AD. He was in his early 50s. He had spent years exiled to Corsica by an emperor who feared him, then years at the center of Roman power advising Nero, a man who would eventually order his death. He understood, viscerally, that time could be seized from you. But what disturbed him more was a subtler theft. He watched wealthy Roman men with every resource, every freedom, spend their days consumed by ambition, distraction, and the endless deferral of actually living. They were busy, furiously, exhaustingly busy, and they were wasting everything. The argument is this: life is not short. Life is long enough if you use it. The tragedy is not that you were given too little time. The tragedy is that you are not even aware of how much you are letting drain away. That argument lands harder today than it did then. And here is why. Law 1. You do not own your time. You only think you do. Who is actually deciding how your hours are spent? Not rhetorically, concretely. Today. You woke up and checked your phone before you chose a single thought. Someone else's notification set the first emotional tone of your morning. Then the obligations began, not chosen, simply inherited from yesterday's commitments to other people's priorities. Seneca called this being claimed by others. Some men are owned by their ambitions, some by their pleasures, some simply by the habit of busyness, but all of them share one thing: they are not directing their own lives. The illusion is that you are free because no one is forcing you. But force is not the only way a life gets taken. Inertia takes it. Obligation takes it. Before you can reclaim your time, you have to admit you have lost it. And most people never admit that, because admitting it would require doing something about it. Law 2. Postponement is the quietest form of self-betrayal. There is a phrase that ends more lives than any disease. When things settle down, when the project ends, when the kids are older, when I feel ready. Seneca identified this with cold precision. He called it referring life to the future, always living in a hypothetical tomorrow that justifies ignoring the actual today. He watched Roman men spend 40 years building wealth so they could finally begin to live, and then die before the beginning arrived. This is not laziness. That is the cruel part. Postponers are often the hardest workers in the room. They are simply working toward a life they have not yet permitted themselves to inhabit. The future is not a room you will one day walk into. It is a story you tell yourself to avoid the discomfort of presence. Every year you postpone the thing that matters. You are not waiting to live. You are choosing not to. But there is something even darker underneath the postponement, something almost no one examines. Law 3. You are generous with everyone's time except your own. Think about the last time someone asked a favor of you, a call, a meeting, help with something not urgent. You probably said yes. Now think about the last time you protected 2 hours in your week to think clearly, to read something that mattered, to sit with a question you have been avoiding. You probably did not. Seneca observed that we guard our money with suspicion. We count it, we track it, but we hand our time to anyone who asks without a second thought. He wrote that people are frugal in guarding their personal property, but most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy. Time cannot be recovered. Not partially. Not ever. Chronic availability is not generosity. It is a failure to take your own life seriously. Your hours are not a courtesy to be extended. They are the material your life is made of. Law 4. The last time always passes without a name. At some point you did something for the last time. You had a conversation with someone you loved, a real one, unhurried, present, and you did not know it was the last. You were absorbed in work you cared about, and then slowly you let yourself be pulled away from it, and never returned. The last time never announces itself. It simply passes. Seneca understood that the deepest waste of a life is not dramatic. It is the gradual surrender of the hours that were genuinely yours, to distraction, to performance, to the low hum of a life half lived. By the time most men realize they have been wasting their lives, they have wasted them. You will not get a warning. The time that passed while you were elsewhere is already gone. And here is what nobody says clearly enough about that truth. Law 5. Busyness is not engagement. It is often escape. He is constantly in motion. His calendar is full. He answers every message within minutes. Always doing something, attending something, managing something. And yet, if you asked him what his life is actually organized around, he would pause, uncomfortably, and give you a vague answer. Seneca named this, the man who is perpetually occupied but directionless. He wrote that such a man does not know what he wants, and so wants everything. Busyness is seductive because it resembles purpose. It produces the feeling of progress without requiring the clarity of direction. It also keeps you from the one activity that actually matters, sitting quietly with the question of what your life is for. That question is uncomfortable. Busyness makes it avoidable. If you cannot account for how your hours are spent, then something else is living your life on your behalf, and it is doing so with your permission. Here is the twist most people miss when they read Seneca. He is not saying time is precious because life is short. He is saying time feels short specifically because you have not been present for most of it. Think about a day you were completely absorbed in a problem, a conversation, a place. That day felt long, rich, dense with actual experience. Now think about the last 3 months at work you were not engaged in. They vanished. You can barely name what happened. The weeks collapsed because you were not actually there. Time does not shrink because there is little of it. It shrinks because you are absent from it. The solution is not to do less or to do more. The solution is to be genuinely present in what you do, and to stop filling your hours with things that require your body, but not your mind. Reclaiming your time is not a scheduling problem. It is a presence problem, and presence begins with one simple, difficult act. Tonight, before you sleep, do what Seneca asked. Account for your day, not the tasks, the hours. Where did they go? What were you present for? Do this not to punish yourself. Do it to see clearly. You cannot reclaim what you will not first acknowledge losing. Seneca wrote that a well-arranged mind is never short of time. He did not mean an organized mind. He meant a mind that knows what it is for and orders its hours accordingly. You have enough time. You have always had enough time. What you may not have is much more of it. So begin now, not tomorrow. Now is the only hour you were ever promised.